This video is presented as part of the Georgia Long-Term Care Emergency Preparedness Educational Program funded by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Civil Monetary Penalty Funds.
Hi, I'm Jim at University of Georgia's Institute for Disaster Management. Today, we're going to be taking a look at emergency power during disasters in the long-term care setting. Get ready for a life-changing experience. In this video, we will be revealing ancient and mystical secrets. You will learn to summon the winds, control the rains, and harness the awesome power of lightning. Actually, none of that's going to happen. But you will learn some things that could help save the lives of your residents. And when a disaster happens, that is your job. Today's long-term care facilities rely on electricity to keep residents safe, comfortable, and even alive. Medical devices like ventilators, oxygen concentrators, and CPAP machines all require electricity. So if the power stops flowing, these machines will stop working, and that can mean an immediate life-threatening emergency for the residents that depend on those machines. Now, let's talk about comfort for a moment. Oh, thank you. Do you have any ice or lemon? Or, yeah, I'm sure it's fine. The truth is that getting too hot or too cold is really not that big a deal for younger, healthier people. But for an older resident or someone with chronic medical conditions, getting too hot or too cold can quickly become a serious problem. And don't forget about blood oxygen levels either. If the oxygen stops flowing for a resident who's dependent upon supplemental oxygen, that can constitute an immediate life-threatening emergency. For all these reasons and more, it is essential that the most critical life-supporting functions in a long-term care facility have several backup power sources or other backup plans. You can find many of the official federal regulations about emergency power and backup generators outlined in CMS Appendix Z, which you would think deals with zombies, but actually doesn't. There's some breath mints in the lobby if you need them. Okay, so how serious is Appendix Z? It's fire marshal serious.
Hi, my name is Keith Shaddix. I'm a manager with the Georgia State Fire Marshal's Office. Appendix Z requires each facility to have an emergency preparedness program. Inside the program is an emergency preparedness plan. The plan requires them to have an alternate power source of energy in case there's an emergency. Systems to support include but are not limited to the following: temperatures to protect patient health and safety and for the safe and sanitary storage of provisions, emergency lighting, fire detection, extinguishing, and alarm systems. There's much more about Appendix Z than we can cover in this video. Please visit the website for more detailed information.
Now, let's take a look at what we can do to make it through an extended power outage. The best time to deal with a disaster is before it happens. Jim, it's me, future Jim, from the future. I've come back through time to ask, why didn't you do a better job preparing for the disaster? I don't know. I just thought I'd have more time. I'm sorry, future Jim. Why didn't I just listen to me? Oh, who can stay mad at that face? So young and innocent. Just try and do a better job next time, okay? And whatever you do, do not eat the egg salad that was left in the refrigerator during the power outage. It is not okay. There are many things that can be done before a disaster to help minimize the effects of a power loss. Taking proper care of your own electrical system could help keep you from losing power in the first place. So keep your building's electrical systems up to date with regular inspections and maintenance. Be sure the trees on your property are trimmed clear of power lines. Always keep an eye on the weather. Typically, there's advance notice on events like ice storms and hurricanes. You want to know what's headed your way, and always assume that the worst thing that can happen will happen. In the disaster planning mindset, this glass is half empty, and what's in it is not even water. It's flesh-melting acid. That's how you need to think when planning for disasters. So assume that you will lose primary power and be ready to supply your own electricity to keep your residents safe, or be ready to evacuate them quickly. If you have a generator, you must test it in accordance with NFPA standards check your fuel levels, and don't forget to stock up on extra fuel. Part of your plan should include having someone lined up to deliver more fuel if you need it. Conduct training for staff on generator operation and refueling, plus more training for staff on how to shelter in place when the power is out. If you see a big storm is headed your way, do a refresher training session so everyone's clear on how things work and review your entire emergency preparedness plan. Have low-tech backups ready to meet your residents' most critical needs. This means things like oxygen tanks, hand-powered suction devices, and bag valve masks that work by hand. Have lots of blankets ready. Stock up on dry goods, water, and foods that don't require cooking to prepare. Have extra batteries ready for all the devices you may need. That includes flashlights, headlamps, radios, jump starter batteries, ventilators, suction machines, and more. If you know a storm is coming, take the time to charge up all your phones and devices before the storm hits and while you still have power. Be sure to test all your communication devices and procedures before the storm hits. That's a good idea. Review your evacuation plan. Make sure everyone on staff understands what events will trigger an evacuation and what everyone's roles and responsibilities will be. Again, assume the worst. If your generator fails, or if you don't have a generator, what exactly will you do to evacuate? Yes, it's a lot of preparation and planning, but the steps that you take before a disaster can make all the difference between life and death for your residents. Okay, so you've planned for the worst, and now it's happening. Let's look at a few things that you can do during a disaster. When the power is out and you're running on a generator, you need to conserve as much electricity as possible. Anything that's not essential for keeping residents alive and safe should probably be turned off. Maintaining communication with the outside world is critical in a disaster. Knowing what's happening around you is crucial. Of course, cell phones are the best way to stay connected, but with heavy use, most phone batteries will go dead within less than a day. So it's very important to figure out how to keep your phone battery charged as long as possible in a disaster. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth can eat up a lot of battery life and are not necessarily essential during an emergency, so you might want to turn those settings to off. Using low power mode on your phone is also a good idea. Of course, car chargers are also very useful, and most folks already have one in their car, but be careful how you use them. If your engine is not running, the phone charger may drain your car's battery. And if your engine is running, be aware of carbon monoxide poisoning and never leave an engine running in an enclosed space. In addition to using your car to charge your cell phone with your regular car charger, you can also use inverters, which are small, inexpensive devices that you plug into the cigarette lighter socket in your car, which then give you power outlet plugs as well as USB outlets. And of course, you should always have NOAA weather radios in your facility. If you should lose power to your radio, it's important to have a battery backup inside the radio. Some weather radios even have an alternate way to power them, like a hand crank. As part of your disaster preparedness, we would definitely recommend storing large amounts of disposable batteries. These kinds of things can be used to run your headlamps, your flashlights, and they can even be used to charge a cell phone. This small, lightweight, and very inexpensive device allows you to use AA batteries to charge a cell phone. We would also recommend that your staff have many rechargeable battery packs available to them. These are very useful for charging small devices like cell phones, for instance. This one is intended for cell phones. This one is actually intended to jumpstart cars. Each of them have several USB ports that you can use to charge from. Be sure to have lots of extra charging cables, both for cars, for wall outlets, as well as other adapters. If you can't connect to the power source, you're not going to be able to charge anything. Additional options for power are hand cranks for things like phones or flashlights, as well as solar chargers, which can be used to recharge battery packs. Now let's look at phone usage. In a disaster, not every single person in the building needs to have their phone on at all times. Yes, we all love our cell phones, and we may feel lonely and maybe even a little confused without them, but it may be best to keep just one or two phones on at any given time during a disaster, so you know you always have more working phones in reserve and ready to go. Consider sharing phones and rationing their use. You can set specific times to call family members and try to keep most of the phones off most of the time. And needless to say, this is not the time to play games on your phone, no matter how bored you get. You want to minimize use of the phone and maximize the battery life. I know, it hurts a little. Don't forget, you're my hero. Suddenly, the electricity comes back on, the sky's clear, and the disaster appears to be over. Everything is going to be okay. You can finally relax and enjoy that egg salad that you've been saving in the refrigerator since the power outage. Little tangy. Wait, Jim, you're living after the disaster. Don't relax just yet. Be prepared for the power to fail again at any moment. And please do not eat any more of that egg salad. You have been warned. Well, clearly future Jim is being overdramatic, but he is right. When the electricity comes back on, don't just immediately assume that it's going to stay on. As soon as it's safe, recharge your most critical batteries first, like those for your ventilators, suction devices, cell phones, and radios. Then, check your generator and see if you need more fuel. You want to be ready for a repeat until you can be sure that the situation has improved and you can expect the power to stay on. You may also want to check the food and medications in your refrigerators to see if they need to be thrown away, depending upon how long the power's been out. We hope you've learned something about emergency power during disasters in the long-term care setting. Thanks for watching, and check out our YouTube channel for more educational videos. Did anybody else eat this egg salad? I can smell it. Is that right? I'm not feeling good. Where are y'all going?